It's not an illegal protest. It's an
Just going to preface what we're watching right now. This is a promo from Trish Wood, who is a journalist. I think I can say friend as well, who's making a documentary on Tamara Lich. So we're going to let this play because this is her promo, raising funds for it, I guess. I'll share the link with everybody from the tweet, but give this a watch because it's actually quite amazing.
And I
If you watch one of Justin Trudeau's more recent sound bites, nobody forced anybody to do anything. It was all consensual. There's a great Smeagol meme where it's Smeagol holding the ring, like, you will do this, and then nice Smeagol saying, nobody forced you to do anything. I like Tamara. I mean, imagine this is the face of public enemy number one for Canadian politics. Yeah.
and our media sure as hell ain't gonna do it. I don't see a lot of lawyers out there chomping at the bit. So who else?
So you're prepared to go to prison now?
Because this is my hill. I said I might go to jail for this, and I might die for this, and I'm okay with that. And I don't want to go to jail, and I don't want to die. But you know, at some point, the way that our country is headed, the direction that I see it going,
they just trampled a lady with a walker!
Is far more scary if we don't stop it than either of those two fates. This is my hill.
That's good. When I was a kid, I used to have a dream of making music videos, directing music videos, or the promos for movies. That's damn good. That's well produced. It's well done. The story behind it happens to be one with which many of us are too familiar. Beautiful story. Here's the link to Trish Wood. She's down in Ottawa. I'm fairly certain she's down in Ottawa now, reporting on the streets, reporting from Ottawa, because for those of you who don't know, I mean, everybody, I hope you know, Tamara Lich, the Convoy organizer, arrested, charged with mischief, incitement of mischief. I think when she was getting arrested and she said, hold the line, that was inciting mischief. She spent a total of 50 some odd days in jail. I had a great interview with her. You know, if I can say so myself, we had a great interview. She went into all of it, 50 some odd days between the first 2.5 weeks in jail, on pretrial detention, without being released on bail on nonviolent mischief charges. Chris Barber is the co-defendant who is currently standing trial right now as well, along with Tamara Lich. I had Pat King on a couple of weeks ago. He talked about his 5.5 months in jail, pretrial detention, the abhorrent conditions that they had him in on, nonviolent mischief as well, and perjury, because apparently he committed perjury on one of his bail hearings. They're going to trial now. I was going to see Trish Wood's tweet because I retweeted it. The trial starts today. Trish Wood tweets from this morning, which I presume she's there. I like the judge, reasonable and not grandstanding. Listen to this, people. Tamara Lich had an order as part of her bail conditions, amongst other social media speech attending protest restrictions. She couldn't attend the downtown Ottawa core because the sight of her would be traumatizing for the people of Ottawa, those poor victims living in the capital city of Canada who were terrorized by horns for 7 days and terrorized by an occupation that lasted 3.5 weeks of the 4 blocks on Capitol Hill of Canada's national capital city. She writes, Trish Wood, I like the judge reasonable and not grandstanding. The Crown forbids Tamara from being in the downtown core or the red zone without counsel. She had to get special dispensation to go for lunch today without counsel. We heard earlier her presence might, quote, trigger, end quote, the locals. Seriously. So, the trial starts today. I'm not in Ottawa. Apparently, it's only in person, so there's no streaming. I don't know if there's any live tweeting, but I'm going to see if I can get updates from Trish periodically as this goes on. Here's a link to Trish tweet, so you can all go follow that. Because we haven't hit rock bottom yet. It's not yet the darkest before the dawn. We still have a ways to go, people. You know, who was I listening to? Oh, we're going to get into it. It was in the Rogan Maher, Bill Maher podcast, where Rogan was quoting Solzhenitsyn, the Russian guy who was talking about the demoralization of a nation. It's like, yeah, it's not until the boot kicks you in the groin, kicks you in the belly, or is on your neck that you realize, yep, we done screwed up. We gave up a little bit too much. Until then, you can close your eyes, block your ears, and never mind. It's not my problem. It's Tamara Lich's problem. It's Pat King's problem. It's Chris Barber's problem. It won't happen for me. I'll be a good citizen, and I won't say anything wrong, and I won't do what the government doesn't like. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so the trials have started. Let me just see something here. The outcome of the trial is predetermined, isn't it? Two questions I don't actually know offhand. If Tamara has opted for a bench trial, a jury trial, a bench trial, a judge trial, or a jury trial. I have to double check that. I never practiced criminal law in Canada. I don't know. I've been wrong every step of the way. I thought that commission, the inquiry into the invocation of the Emergencies Act was going to be, at the very least, the time for the slap on the wrist of Justin Trudeau. I got that wrong. Because I'm blinded by my own optimism sometimes, which means that every time I reassess in the future, I have to say, Viva, is your prediction based on being blinded by your deep-rooted optimism? And if it is, maybe you should get a little more cynical in your analysis. I'm not going to say that she's going to get convicted. I think she's already spent enough time in jail that even if she were to get convicted on her mischief charges, 2.5 weeks, she spent 50 some odd days overall. That would be enough time in jail. But who knows? Mischief is a very serious crime in Canada. It can carry up to 10 years in jail. I think it's one of those hybrid summary offense or felony conviction. I mean, it's a hybrid. It can be very serious. 10 years in jail. Oh, so the trial starts today. We have yet to reach peak bottom, I don't think. She might very well get convicted. Pat King, man, is going to be the easier one to convict. He's at least, on the face of it, superficially, an easier character to dislike. Tamara Lich, at least you're looking at a woman. I mean, surely a jury has to be more sympathetic to a woman. What kind of woman does mischief? That's like a man crime. But I think it's bad. I'm not optimistic. They're going to make an example out of these. And even if they don't, an acquittal after all of this, a just result after, a year and a half of injustice is still an injustice. Peak bottom. It's like a giant shrimp. It's a jumbo shrimp, a flat mountain. It's a contradiction in terms. You can have a peak depth. No, you have a maximum depth. I'm sticking with it. Peak bottom. Peak bottom girls. Oh, it's a man crime, baby. So that's what's going on in Canada, but I got a couple of other stories before we get there. Let me just make sure that we are simultaneously streaming on the Rumbles. I made a mistake this morning, people. Julie Kelly is coming on tomorrow, not today. Julie Kelly doing some great reporting on January 6th, on the Trump indictments. She's going to come on tomorrow and give us the latest, the heads up, the what's up with the January 6th convictions, the sentences, the atrocious injustice of those trials as well. I thought it was today at 12:30, and then when I said she wasn't coming on at 12:30 today, but tomorrow, I'll bump it back to the 1 o'clock start time so that I could go do a little digging on the ADL. Because what we're talking about today, after we get past Canadian madness, after we end on YouTube and go over to Rumble, we're talking ADL. Musk. talking about suing the ADL for, I mean, he's saying defamation. It might be a little defamation, a little tortious interference with contracts. I'm vibing a little bit of the Oberlin case, which we're going to come to when we talk about that. I've been doing my homework on the ADL because it's not like I don't know what they are or who they are. And it's not like I haven't tweeted about them in the past, because they are a propagandist, activist organization that, as far as I am concerned, has done more to propagate and foment anti-Semitic sentiment as opposed to negate it or contradict it, because the ADL, it's a Jewish organization that is supposed to, how does its goal, targeting and nullifying anti-Semitic actions and conduct on the interwebs, and it's just turned into a degenerate activist organization that goes out and calls you a fascist or a right-wing zealot bigot if you claim to be anti-fascist. They come out and say, if you call people groomers or you suggest that there might be grooming happening, you're a far-right bigot. They've turned into an absolutely, there's a lawnmower, a wildly politically activist organization that, as far as I am concerned, is doing more to exacerbate anti-Semitic sentiment than to eradicate it. We're talking about that. We're talking about Sam Harris, which is going to segue into Bill Maher. The absolute brain rot that comes along with TDS and what I think TDS is, people. And we're going to talk about some other stuff. Before we get in there, by the way, has everybody, I'm sure, has seen this, because it's the best merch of all time. I'm still waiting for mine to get here. Barnes called it what did he call it? The trilogy or the trology? I forget what he called it. I got it. I've ordered my own merch, people. Our own merch. Wanted for President, the Donald Trump mugshot shot glass, the mugshot t-shirt, and the mugshot coffee mug. If you go to vivafrei.com and get yours, people seem to like them. I cannot wait to get my 1.9 ounce mugshot shot glass so I can take 2 of those and make a delicious evening martini. Okay. Dr. Offensive, you caught my eye with the all caps message, but I'm not bringing that comment up. Oh yeah, standard disclaimers, no medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. If you want to support the channel, best place to do it is vivabarneslaw.locals.com. $7 a month, $70 a year if you get a discounted rate, although some people seem to actually take pride and pleasure in supporting us for more than that. You could give these super chats, but YouTube takes 30% of that. You can do Rumble rants on Rumble, where we are simultaneously streaming. And Mighty Piss says, someone said the mug ended up $35 with shipping, taxes. What the hell? That would be shocking unless they took like express shipping. The shipping is a problem. It's $13, I think, give or take, for the mug, and shipping is a problem depending on where it's going. We do the best we can. I mean, we're not yet at an international infrastructure where we can have like supply locations in every country. So yeah, if you're going to order some merch, maybe make it more cost effective than one shot glass if you're shipping it to Australia. Okay, so with that said, let's get this show started. By the way, and for those of you who are new, I'm exclusive with Rumble. We are exclusive with Rumble. That does not mean that we do not touch YouTube. We start on YouTube. We then end on YouTube and go over to Rumble. The Rumble link is in the pinned comment. And then I post the clips to Viva Clips on YouTube. I post the entire stream the next day on YouTube. It's not a question of circumventing the rules of YouTube and saying things on Rumble that I can't say on YouTube. I put the entire thing up afterwards, but YouTube gets the leftovers. They don't get the main course. That's for Rumble. And then we do our after party, locals exclusive at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Now, we're not done with the Canadian madness, but we will end on it. Now, I brought up 2 tweets. Where are they? One's from my brother, and one is from David Anber, who is not my brother. We're going to start with the David Anber tweet because this is related to the convoy. You will recall, people, maybe you won't, maybe you will. Back in the day of the convoy, when they made it illegal to honk the horns if it wasn't a highway necessity, I forget exactly how they crafted that. They were giving people tickets for honking horns if, in their thought crime Minority Report sense of the term, they thought the person was honking a horn in support of the protest. They had banned like air horns, train horns, fog horns, mechanically assisted horns. I forget exactly what the distinction is. But there was this video that went viral of an elderly person. I'm not saying this to be judgmental, who you could watch the video, does not appear to be all there, in a sense that the response from the police officer, who, as you can see right here, is wearing a face mask outdoors, is wildly inappropriate. Watch what happened to this man. This was a man who allegedly was pulled over for allegedly honking his horn, was asked for ID, and then said, "I'm not giving you my ID, I don't have to," and then this happened.
Ended. This is not going to stop. Stop harassing old men. You don't have to show them anything. It's against the law. You just for what? Hey,
fuck you. You're under arrest.
What are you doing? Hey! Ended.
So that's what happened. It was actually worse than that. This video cuts it short. This elderly gentleman sought counsel in David Anber. For those of you who don't know David Anber, he's an Ottawa, Ontario criminal attorney. He was on the show. We are also friends. I met him as a result of all of this wonderful world of the interwebs. Back in the day, said, "I can advise with consent that I now represent the elderly man you've seen in videos like the one below. In respect of the provincial offense notice he received, my office will be vigorously fighting the charge, starting with what appears to be an unlawful arrest." All right. David Anber brought some news on this, because this is what they do in Canada, by the way. I'm actually kind of surprised they're taking Tamara Lich to trial, because one of my predictions, my wildly optimistic predictions, which I should just get more cynical. I should read my own Twitter header and just get more cynical. Apparently, I'm not yet there. I thought they were actually going to just drop the charges against Tamara Lich. Like trial times, we don't want to go to trial on these mischief charges. It might make us look bad. You know, for a government that criticizes Putin for being an autocratic government, it might not make us look good. No. One last hurrah they're going for. They didn't drop the charges yet. They did against this man, according to David Anber, criminal lawyer. At the last court date, the Crown withdrew the charge against our client. I opine that the reason was clearly that the arrest was unlawful according to an Ontario, I don't know what that is, case, an Ontario Court of Appeal, maybe? Ontario Court of Appeal case called R versus Plummer. This would have, in my estimation, destroyed the prospect of conviction. Hey. So Victor, Anber gets the victory. A Pyrrhic victory, as I'm liking to say these days, because what's the victory? After the abusive arrest, after the physical assault, if, I can't really think of another way to call it that, after the abuse, after the injustice, and after being dragged through the process for how long? I forgot, I didn't look at the date on that tweet. Over a year. They dropped the charges. Well, you're good to go. No harm, no foul. Bullcrap. No harm, no foul. The process is the punishment, and they know it damn well. They can screw around as much as they want off taxpayer dollars, force this guy to I think they were crowdfunding for his legal fees, because David Anber is not running a charity. And even if he were running a charity, still needs to get paid for his work. No, after running him through the mill, they just dropped the charges. Well, whoopsie doodle, it's my first day. And that's it. And we're supposed to say, well, there's at long last, there has been justice. No, there hasn't. There has been an injustice. And I don't know if Anber plans to sue potentially. I don't know if you could sue for malicious prosecution. Maybe some sort of civil rights violation. I don't know. I don't even know what civil rights we have as Canadians anymore. But no, that's it. After charges are off, you can go home and thank us. Thank Big Brother on your way out, old man. Oh. Lily Gazoo says, I wonder how much Canada is losing in tourism. I know I stay away now, though I'm near the border. I don't even want to go back to see family. I mean, it's not that I don't want to see the family. I don't want to go back. It's like you walk back into Canada, you feel a tension that you can cut with a knife. You feel like you've entered a twilight zone. You feel like you have stepped foot into the asylum that is now being run by the patients. So that's it. Charges dropped. Whoop-de-doo. Success. The abusive charges after the abusive arrest are dropped just like that, and we're supposed to be happy. At least they've stopped beating us now, eh? Or I should say us. I shouldn't include myself in that, but at least they've stopped beating him. All right, now that's from David Anber, criminal lawyer. We're going to finish with this one before we head over to the Rumbles, and let me just give everybody the link there. We're going to go with a tweet from my brother, my actual brother. Here, link to Rumble. Okay, there. We're going to go to a tweet from my actual brother who's covering my brother has been red-pilled thoroughly and is doing also good work. Lion advocacy. My brother has gotten now so into this, like he's going and digging up like documents and all this. It's amazing stuff. All right, so my brother, Lion Advocacy. For those of you who, like, he's a good-looking dude. Look at that, the widow's peak. Make injustice visible. Ooh, Mahatma Gandhi. You know, no, I think we're going to go with Justin Trudeau's philosophy. Make justice invisible. Bada bing, bada boom. So Lion Advocacy, that's my brother. You can now tell we have the same last name. He tweeted out, holy cow, or he put in the period. It's a little AOC tactic, but holy period, cow, period, clap, period, clap, period, clap. Here's an email from the FDA expressing shock and surprise that the U.S. Department of Defense was conducting a covert military operation on COVID-19 vaccine effectiveness using large-scale civilian data sets and hiding, delaying the poor results. Unreal. So now let's see what order we have to go in here. We're going to start with the red highlighted section for those of you who are listening to this on podcast format on Viva and Barnes Law for the People on Podbean and everywhere else you find podcasts. It says, Dear Janet and Julie, well, it would have been nice to know Department of Defense, JAIC, I don't know what that is, was conducting this prior to now. Also might have been nice for CDC to share the data, but better late than never. As I said yesterday, the totality of the evidence is remarkably consistent. Best regards, Peters. And it says in response to that email, I don't know who these names are, but they're at fda.hhs.gov. 3 weeks ago, we could have put this in the AC. I suppose the ACIP will discuss. Actually, Peter, this is more worrisome than the other data we have, in my opinion. Give everybody a link to that tweet because that's a good one. So that's it. You know, it's just moving at the speed of science. And like I said the other day, they have just all but skipped the process of clinical trials whatsoever and moved straight on to outright human experimentation. Link to my bro's tweet. To be followed, he's doing good work, so you might want to contemplate following him as well. Now let's just see something here. I am the science, says Dr. Offensive. Well, that's my bro's tweet. Oh my goodness. What the, oh, I did a thorough analysis of that as the intro to Sunday night stream. Fauci talking about how the masks, at an individual level, yeah, the masks might, there are some studies that I think that the masks do something at an individual level, but for the epidemic or pandemic as a whole, the data are more worrisome. I love the fact that he thinks he's so flipping smart by saying data are, because most people say data is because data sounds singular, but it's actually the plural. Or maybe it's used. He's so smart. He's a cunning linguist. The data are, for the pandemic, for masks, the data are not so good. And yet, nonetheless, we're just going to go ahead and do it anyhow because if we change path now, it means we made a mistake then. And like they say in communist regimes, by the way, they never admit making a mistake. They arrest somebody, even if the person's innocent. They're never admitting that they arrested an innocent person because that would make them fallible. That would undermine the regime. So what do? If they arrest you, you're guilty. And if you're not guilty when they arrested you, they will make you guilty because they don't arrest innocent people. The regime does not make mistakes. So if they told you to not wear masks when they thought they knew that it did something, and then they told you to wear masks when they knew it did nothing, they will not, I'm frothing, they will not admit it. Because the regime does not admit mistakes, because to admit mistakes is to admit fallibility, and to admit fallibility means that people are going to question you the next time you say something, and the regime does not want that. How can I buy a brain coloring book? I know I should know the answer to this question. I'm going to come back to this one. Hold on, I'm going to star this question, and I'll come back to it in a second. Let me just ask my wife, can you email me the link to the coloring book? ? I'll come back to that one. All right, but for now, we're going to go over to Rumble because holy crap, I'm so eager. I'm so eager to be that guy. And by that guy, I'm thinking of another 3-letter word for me, who's going to rail against the ADL and let them call me anti-Semitic. They might quickly find out the irony, paradox, hypocrisy of that. I'm going to rail against the ADL. I'm going to rail against Jeffrey Greenblatt. Do you know Jeffrey Greenblatt? I can't do it yet. Salary is $1.2 million. Overall compensation for the ADL from what charity or something, one of those charity analyzers put out, Total compensation, $1.2 million. There is good money in the racket. We're going to get to it. And I am totally immune from accusations of anti-Semitism. For reasons, no, it's like I'm still gonna get it. I'm still gonna get it. Well, I had an article written in. Hold on, let me see if I can get this here. Why would David Freiheit, Jew, run for PPC? You gotta see this, people. It's like it's pathological. It's pathological in its insanity. Present link. Why this Jewish YouTube star ran for the People's Party of Canada. Oh my God, is that me? That was the brick wall of my house. The house that the government turned into a prison. All right, we'll come to all of this on Rumble. Get your butts on over to Rumble, as we say in the industry, and we're going to carry on the party over there. Here's the link, and if you're so inclined, come on over to the locals right now for the after party. In our locals community, by the way, we're doing this thing now, like periodically, a member, a supporter who wants to have an open online discussion. They submit, we've done it twice or three times now. We're going to do it again where we have the new winner. So we might have the interview today or the discussion today or sooner than later. But some people submit who are supporters and say, I'd love to have a digital conversation on locals. And we've got the next one in line. All right, we're ending on YouTube. Come on over to locals. Come on over to Rumble. We will be there in 5, 4, 3, starting with Sam Harris being absolutely mentally challenged because of Trump derangement.